President Trump's approach to trade is often described as burn it down first. This phrase encapsulates his aggressive and often controversial methods, which aim to disrupt the status quo in order to rebuild it in a way that he believes will benefit the United States more significantly. This aggressive strategy prioritizes short-term gains over long-term stability. By focusing on immediate results, Trump hopes to create a sense of urgency and leverage that can be used in negotiations with other countries. Trump's belief is that by disrupting the existing global trade order, he can secure better deals for the United States. He sees the current system as unfair and skewed against American interests, and his goal is to level the playing field. This approach relies heavily on tariffs, essentially taxes on imported goods. These tariffs are intended to pressure other countries into negotiating more favorable trade terms with the United States. These tariffs are designed to make foreign goods more expensive, thus boosting American manufacturing. By making imported products less competitive, the hope is that consumers will turn to domestically produced goods, thereby supporting local industries and jobs. However, the long-term vision for managing global trade in a post-tariff world remains unclear. Critics argue that this lack of clarity creates uncertainty, which can be detrimental to both businesses and consumers. Trump's tariff strategy has been met with skepticism from economists and businesses alike. Many experts question the effectiveness of tariffs as a tool for achieving long-term economic goals. Critics argue that tariffs harm consumers by driving up prices. When the cost of imported goods rises, it often leads to higher prices for everyday items, affecting the average consumer's purchasing power. They also contend that tariffs invite retaliation from trading partners, leading to trade wars. These trade wars can escalate quickly, causing significant disruptions in global supply chains and economic stability. This is precisely what has unfolded with China. The trade tensions between the two largest economies in the world have led to a series of retaliatory tariffs, affecting a wide range of industries and products. Trump's initial tariffs on Chinese goods were met with reciprocal tariffs on American goods. This tit-for-tat approach has created a volatile trade environment, with businesses on both sides feeling the impact. This back and forth has escalated into a full-blown trade war with no end in sight. The ongoing conflict has led to increased costs for businesses and consumers, as well as uncertainty in the global markets. The lack of a clear endgame is perhaps the most concerning aspect of Trump's tariff strategy. Without a defined objective or exit strategy, the trade war could continue indefinitely, causing long-term damage to the global economy. Without a defined objective, negotiations become more difficult and uncertainty reigns. Businesses are left in a state of limbo, unsure of how to plan for the future. Businesses operate in a climate of fear, hesitant to make long-term investments. This hesitation can stifle innovation and growth, leading to a stagnation in the economy. This uncertainty trickles down to consumers, who face higher prices and a less stable economic future. The ripple effects of the trade war are felt across all levels of the economy, from large corporations to individual households. While the Trump administration defends its actions as necessary to protect American jobs and intellectual property, the long-term consequences of this burn-it-down-first approach remain to be seen. The administration argues that these measures are essential for safeguarding the nation's economic interests. The potential for collateral damage to the global economy is significant, and the lack of a clear path forward only amplifies these concerns. As the trade war drags on, the world watches closely, hoping for a resolution that will bring stability back to the global markets. China wasted no time in responding to Trump's tariffs. The Chinese government, viewing these measures as a direct threat to their economic stability and growth, quickly formulated a counter-strategy. Beijing views these tariffs as an attack on its economic interests and a challenge to its growing global influence. The leadership in Beijing saw this as an opportunity to assert their stance and demonstrate their resilience on the global stage. In retaliation, China imposed its own tariffs on a range of American goods. This move was not just a defensive measure but also a strategic one, aimed at hitting the U.S. economy where it would hurt the most. These retaliatory tariffs targeted key American exports such as soybeans, which are a major export product for American farmers and a significant part of the U.S. agricultural sector, automobiles and aircraft. By targeting these industries, China aimed to create pressure on the U.S. administration from influential business sectors. The initial exchange of tariffs marked the beginning of a tit-for-tat trade war between the world's two largest economies. This back and forth of economic blows has only intensified over time. Each round of tariffs has been met with a counter-response, leading to a steady escalation in tensions. The stakes have continued to rise, with neither side willing to back down. As of April 2025, tariffs on Chinese goods have reached an average of 54%, a significant increase that has strained trade relations further, in addition to pre-existing duties and additional tariffs aimed at curbing fentanyl flow. The US has used these tariffs as a tool to address multiple issues, including the opioid crisis. This escalation has had a chilling effect on bilateral trade, with both countries experiencing significant economic consequences. The ripple effects are being felt across various sectors. Communication between President Trump and President Xi Jinping has been limited and largely unproductive. The lack of direct dialogue has only exacerbated the situation. The lack of substantive dialogue between the two leaders has contributed to the escalation of the trade war. Without meaningful communication, misunderstandings and miscalculations have become more likely. While lower-level officials have engaged in negotiations, these talks have yielded little progress. The complexity of the issues at hand requires high-level intervention, which has been lacking. The lack of trust and understanding between the two sides remains a major obstacle to resolving the dispute. Both nations are wary of each other's intentions, making compromise difficult. The ongoing trade war between the US and China has created a climate of uncertainty and volatility in global markets. Investors and businesses are finding it hard to plan for the future. Businesses are struggling to adapt to the constantly shifting landscape of tariffs and trade barriers. The unpredictability is causing delays and increased costs. Consumers are feeling the pinch of higher prices as the cost of imported goods rises. This has led to a decrease in consumer spending and confidence, and the global economy is showing signs of slowing down. The prolonged trade war is contributing to a broader economic downturn. The longer this trade war drags on, the more difficult it will be to repair the damage and restore trust between the two economic superpowers. The path to reconciliation is becoming increasingly complex and fraught with challenges. The trade war between the United States and China is not a contained conflict. It has evolved into a global economic struggle, with far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond the borders of these two superpowers. Its shockwaves are being felt across the global economy, causing significant disruptions in various sectors. Financial markets are in turmoil, with stock prices fluctuating wildly as investors react to the latest developments. The impact is not limited to businesses and financial markets alone. Consumers are also feeling the pinch, as prices for everyday goods rise due to increased tariffs and supply chain disruptions. Business owners, from small enterprises to large corporations, are grappling with uncertainty and the need to adapt to rapidly changing conditions. The interconnected nature of global trade means that tariffs imposed by one country inevitably have ripple effects on others. Trade routes that once flowed smoothly are now disrupted, leading to delays and increased costs for shipping goods across borders. Companies around the world are feeling the squeeze as the trade war disrupts supply chains and increases costs. Factories are halting production, workers are facing layoffs, and the overall efficiency of global manufacturing is being compromised. Multinational corporations, heavily reliant on global trade, are particularly vulnerable. These companies, which have built their business models on the premise of seamless international commerce, are now forced to rethink their strategies and operations. Electrolux, Volvo Cars, Logitech, and Diageo are just a few examples of companies that have been forced to cut sales targets and review plans due to the uncertainty created by the trade war. These adjustments are not just short-term fixes, but could have long-lasting implications for their growth and profitability. The removal of de minimis duty-free treatment for e-commerce packages from China has further exacerbated the situation, impacting smaller businesses and online retailers. These businesses, which often operate on thin margins, are now facing higher costs and logistical challenges. The International Monetary Fund has warned that the trade war is a threat to the global economy and has downgraded its growth forecasts accordingly. This warning underscores the seriousness of the situation and the potential for long-term economic damage. The Bank of Japan, the Netherlands, and countries in the Middle East and North Africa region have also cut their growth forecasts due to concerns about the trade war's impact on global demand. These regions, which are integral to the global economy, are bracing for slower growth and increased economic challenges. China's factory activity contracted at its fastest pace in 16 months in April 2025, a clear indication of the trade war's negative impact on the Chinese economy. This contraction is not just a statistic, but a reflection of the broader economic strain being felt across the country. The UK has also felt the effects, with factory exports shrinking at the sharpest rate in almost 5 years. This decline highlights the interconnectedness of the global economy and how disruptions in one part of the world can have far-reaching consequences. While some countries like India may benefit in the short term as companies seek alternative suppliers, the overall impact on the global economy is decidedly negative. The gains for a few are overshadowed by the broader economic instability and uncertainty. The trade war is creating uncertainty, disrupting supply chains, and dampening business investment. Companies are hesitant to make long-term commitments, and the overall business climate is one of caution and apprehension. These factors are contributing to a slowdown in global growth and raising concerns about a potential recession. The economic landscape is becoming increasingly precarious, and the need for resolution and stability has never been more urgent. The trade war's impact is not limited to the private sector. Within the U.S. government, several departments and agencies are grappling with the consequences of Trump's policies. These impacts are multifaceted, ranging from budget cuts and staff reductions to a shift in priorities and a decline in overall morale. Government agencies tasked with promoting international development and diplomacy, such as USAID and the State Department, have seen their budgets slashed significantly. These cuts have forced them to scale back programs, reduce staff, and limit their engagement in crucial areas such as global health, education, and conflict resolution. The Environmental Protection Agency has also experienced significant budget cuts and staff reductions, hindering its ability to address critical environmental challenges. Think tanks like the Wilson Center, which provide valuable research and analysis on global issues, have also seen their funding reduced, limiting their ability to inform policymakers and the public. Perhaps the most concerning impact is the Trump administration's decision to declare the COVID-19 pandemic over and pull back billions of dollars in funding from the Department of Health and Human Services. This decision, widely criticized by public health experts, has raised concerns about the government's preparedness for future pandemics and its commitment to global health security. The Trump administration argues that these cuts are necessary to streamline government and reduce bureaucracy. However, critics argue that they are counterproductive, undermining the government's ability to function effectively, address global challenges, and maintain its standing in the world.